Today I woke up and needed a morsel of serotonin, so these are the 16 best action-adventure syndicated TV shows from the 90s and early 2000s that you probably forgot existed. This list is for anyone like me who grew up in the 90s and did not have cable and knew that the very best programming was Saturday afternoon. It was that Xena, that Hercules, and all of the kind of ecosystem of shows that surrounded it. Additionally, this list is going to be in descending order from least obscure to most obscure. When I start the list, I want you to be like, oh yeah, I kind of remember that show, and by the time I get to the end, I want you to genuinely have the feeling that I am making the shows up. Also, the descriptions of the shows are based completely off of my memories. I did not Google this beforehand. If I get anything wrong, please remember it's just a funny video on the internet and it is not that deep. Number 16, right up here at the top, least obscure, Legend of the Seeker. This cast was great. The production was great. Craig Horner was and still is a living god. And what's up? Get at me. Number 15, throwing it back to the early 90s, the Highlander TV show. For me personally, the Highlander TV show was Highlander. I didn't even know that there were movies until I was an adult, and I still to this day have not watched them. That show is the Highlander franchise for me. There was an ill-fated animated Saturday morning cartoon spinoff show. It was bad, and we do not talk about it. Number 14, Mutant X. I actually rewatched this at the beginning of the pandemic because I just wanted to kind of relive my youth. This one has a Marvel production credit at the beginning credits, so I don't know if this technically counts as part of the MCU. It's very early 2000s, and that it is just the most beautiful people you have ever seen, in leather, doing a lot of like slow motion Matrix running, and fighting other people that are equally hot, also in leather, and everybody has superpowers. There's something about some kind of pseudo government conspiracy thing going on. None of that is important. It's all just vibes. Number 13, we're going to start getting into some slightly more obscure shows here. This one is called VIP, Valerie Irons Protection. This one starred Pamela Anderson, so it's not that obscure, but I don't feel like a lot of people remember it. Pamela Anderson plays a celebrity that gets caught on camera defending herself with a purse filled with quarters, I think, and then accidentally somehow becomes the CEO of a bodyguard agency. Don't ask me how that happened. Hijinks ensue. This is camp. Number 12, the first Charlie's Angels dupe on the list, She Spies. This was Charlie's Angels. This was just Charlie's Angels. This was Charlie's Angels. Number 11, Relic Hunter. This was formative for me, especially Nigel. For me, this was always like late night on weeknights after the local news. I would stay up and watch this. It was great. It was Tomb Raider. Number 10, if you're a gay millennial, you remember Beastmaster. A guy named Daniel Goddard was in it, and this was all he wore in every single episode. There was some plot about him being some kind of like chosen one, and he had animal powers. I don't care. This is what he wore in every episode. Need I say more? 9, another Charlie's Angels dupe on the list, Cleopatra 2525. This was Charlie's Angels set in a dystopian future. Number 8, this is the New Adventures of Robin Hood. This was actually pretty obscure to me. I don't remember, I don't have a lot of vivid memories of this show. But in a lot of other people's memory banks, like this kind of ranked up there in like the syndicated action adventure 90s show. So I put it kind of mid-list, but the New Adventures of Robin Hood was, once again, it was a Xena Hercules knockoff, except it was Robin Hood. Number 7, The Adventures of Sinbad. Once again, everybody was really trying for Xena Hercules fame, and they were just trying for other pseudo-historical figures from mythology or whatever, so they went with Sinbad. This one was kind of cool because it was pirates. One girl, I think, was magic, and somebody had a hawk or a falcon or something. It made me want a bird really bad. Number 6, I love this show. I personally loved this show. This, for me, this and Beastmaster were up there. I loved it. This was called Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, I think. Anyways, she also had animal powers. She could like look at an animal and turn into an animal. Anyways, she was hot. Everybody was hot. It was set, I think, in Africa. I don't know. There was like a time period in like the late 90s when like everything was set in some place that was Africa but wasn't Africa. Wink, wink. Anyways, so she could change into animals. Everybody was hot. The show died too young. Number 5, this is actually quite obscure despite the cast. This was called Jack of All Trades, and it involved Bruce Campbell, you know, everybody's favorite Bruce Campbell. He had a lot of guest roles in Xena and Hercules, and he got a lot of love for those guest roles, so it was only natural that they tried to give him his own show. It was called Jack of All Trades. It was very like pirate themed, and I think French, if I'm not mistaken. He was in some kind of seaside town, I want to say, and there was just like a lot of hijinks with the local government. It was very like Three Musketeers, but there was only one of them kind of vibe. I'm genuinely shocked this didn't get more seasons. Once again, everybody loves Bruce Campbell. He fit those kinds of roles really well, but I don't know, this one came and went, and I feel like people barely remember that it ever happened. Number 4, we're going to get into some really obscure shows here. Mortal Kombat Conquest. This was a very short-lived show. It was a TV series spin-off of the movies, which were like already considered like B movies. This was like trash, but good trash kind of thing. I don't feel like people remember that there was a TV show. It was bad, but I loved it. Number 3 most obscure show is actually may surprise people that know about the show because it actually ran for like several seasons. I think like 5 seasons. The show's called Renegade. This was a time in the early to mid 90s when people were very obsessed with like the lone wanderer trope. Like the main character was this like lone guy, is very like Roadhouse kind of vibe. But the show ran like a really long time, and I feel like there's just no cultural memory of the show whatsoever. Most obscure show, Vanishing Sun. Very similar premise to Renegade, another sort of wandering loner, except instead of like vague Native American mysticism, this was vague Asian mysticism. Vanishing Sun was an Asian main character who, knew karate or whatever. We were all very obsessed with karate. And he went from small American town to small American town, beating people up and dispensing vague Asian wisdom. The number 1 most obscure show on the list, and the one that I could not even remember the name of. I actually did have to Google this, and I fell down a very long rabbit hole, and the only reason I was able to find the name of the show is because it was in a very long list of like some production company that made these like syndicated action-adventure shows in the 90s. This one is called Team Knight Rider. You might remember Knight Rider, David Hasselhoff in the talking car, and I think there were a few spinoffs and maybe some revivals in recent years. There was a TV show in the mid to late 90s called Team Knight Rider. Everybody had a talking car. It was like Power Rangers, but for adults. It was actually more like Beetleborgs for adults, and everybody had a talking car. The only distinct memory that I have of the show is that 2 of the people had motorcycles, and when the motorcycles drove close enough to each other, they became a kind of car. How it became a kind of car was never explained to my knowledge. The only memory that I have of this is the 2 motorcycles coming together, and I think one time they all went for ice cream. I cannot tell you. I have never met another living soul that knew that this show existed. But it was called Team Knight Rider. It was fun. It was exactly what you wanted out of a show like this. And it had talking cars. What do you think? I know this video was very long. Did I forget something? Did this take you down memory lane? Are you enraged? Did you already tune out because it's a very long video? Anyways, let me know in the comments. Bye!